Welcome to Casting Friendship, a Dungeons and Dragons and Feelings podcast. I'm Kara.
And I'm Melanie.
Together we are KaraMel, and today we are going to talk about friendship and trauma bonding at the Dungeons and Dragons table.
I'd like to cast Friends.
Roll for charisma. Melanie, how are you feeling today, girl?
Okay. All right. So there is something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Let me just give you some background. I feel like I'm very much under the pressures of our patriarchal grooming standards.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that used to be like hair removal. I would get like really distracted, need to go wax and shave and stuff. So I had like a bunch of laser hair removal, and now like I never think about it again, right? Another thing that really distracts me is my nails. I always need my toes and my fingers to be polished. And so the thing that I use is something called builder gel. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You have heard of builder gel?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I use it.
It's kind of like gel polish, but it's like a little bit harder.
Yeah,
right?
it
Okay.
basically like thickens your nail base, basically.
Yes,
Really
exactly.
sturdy. Yeah.
And it's a dream. You apply it and it's pretty much like permanent on your nails. I went in like this weird spiral where my finger was kind of slightly inflamed a little bit. And I can't tell if it's just because I was too aggressive on my cuticle care or if it was because, have you ever heard of a gel allergy?
Yeah.
You've heard of this?
Yeah, and I'm Googling right now because there's this other like contact dermatitis is also
Yes,
another
it's
thing.
contact dermatitis.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you get contact dermatitis through uncured gel onto your skin. The thing is that if you become allergic to acrylate, it's really, really serious. So it's like a lifetime allergy. And some of the things that acrylates are in is like lash glue, I think nail glue. I think it's sometimes even in like makeup removers. But there's some really serious things that acrylates are in, which is like dental implants or something, or like dental work, or like if you need like a hip implant or like a hip replacement. It really occupied my mind.
Just because they look puffy doesn't mean you have it. So breathe. I think you're okay. But I mean, maybe switch to just regular polish to give your fingers a break every now and then. But although I do know that gel builder is insanely hard to get off. So good luck.
Yeah, I feel like this is the most like vain concern, but like I feel like continuing to use gel is very vain considering the risks. I was like, the risks are so real.
Yeah. Unfortunately, beauty is pain and also illness and possibly death.
Oh my gosh. I'm like,
okay, so what is your
doing?
let's dig deeper. What is your reasoning for needing to have like is it truly just fitting into like the patriarchal beauty standard of having nice long painted nails? Do you think it looks cleaner? Like for me, I think it physically makes my fingers look longer, which makes I'm short, so it makes me feel less childish somehow. But my main reasoning is not biting my nails. So yeah, why do you think you need to have like long painted nails?
I think it is patriarchal beauty standards. I put the expectation on myself to look very
Put
polished.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way
literally.
yeah, literally. My mom is not like this at all. She doesn't give a crap. So the way that she describes me, she's like, you're very shiny.
That's called skincare. Look it up.
I think
always clean, polished,
I'm very
shiny.
Yes. Yeah. I try very hard to control my physical appearance and my body almost every way.
Almost compulsively.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's like you describing like the way that you see your nails, like even though I don't bite them, I understand what that feels like to be like, oh my gosh, like
everybody's noticing this. Yeah.
And then
worst of all, I notice.
Yeah. I will notice things that absolutely no one will notice. I'm like, I gotta do it again. Like I gotta fix it. Yeah, even before my laser hair removal, even if you couldn't like see, I would still be like, no, I have to do it. I have to like keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that's so deeply ingrained and buried in me that I've become like my own jailer. At first, it might have just been someone else putting the pressure on me.
Society in general, movies,
Yeah,
TV,
exactly,
magazines.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, just like expectations, but then at some point it had turned around where I can tell that what I do to myself is it excessive? I don't know. I can't tell. I think that's like a matter of perspective.
So
To me, yeah, I don't see my friends doing this. That says something to me, right? Like
I think
don't
I think
feel-
maybe I'm trying to figure out how to say this with like the most kindness and empathy, because I do feel that, and I have been in your shoes before,
yeah,
with that expectation for myself. I think that like, yeah, I have lots of friends who are exactly like you, who
yeah,
have this, I don't know, they have this like aura of rebellion, but they cannot rebel against the beauty standard. They cannot
yeah,
get themselves to stop curling and bleaching their hair every day. They
yeah,
cannot get themselves to stop shaving their underarms, or,
yeah,
painting their nails, removing their like upper lip hair, or whatever the thing is that they think is not correct. These
yeah,
women who like hate that this is what they're doing, and that know that they are the ones doing it to themselves, when it's not, first of all, it's not us doing it to ourselves. It's this is the expectation under patriarchy.
yeah,
And I think my question is like, don't I feel a sense of rebellion, I guess, in the last few years, and so I've stopped, like we've talked about this, like I've stopped shaving my body hair. There are things I do for myself because I think they're fun, but like even my makeup is usually like pretty over the top, pretty pink, pretty gaudy, pretty like man repeller.
yeah,
And that's just because I like the art of doing it. But most of the things that I feel the pressure about are the things I will like. I'm kind of a rebel, I think, with my body.
yeah.
Like
I agree. No, you are. You're a badass. Yeah.
thank you. But like I think my question is like, do you feel like you wish you had that level of like rebellion that you could stop, or is it something you just enjoy? Maybe it's something you just enjoy. Like, far be it from me to tell you that like the beauty standard can't be fun, or that it can't be something that just makes you feel clean and professional and put together.
Let me describe how I feel when I don't have my nails painted. It's like if your house is really, really messy and you
Really?
just feel like distracted, and I want to say like visual clutter, but that's
This
more
is
of like
like,
your room and not
no,
like,
this is
not your
like
body.
this is the most like flat and real definition of like self-conscious. You are super conscious of
Yeah.
yourself. More,
Yes.
I think probably more
It's
than a lot of people.
distracting.
I don't think you're more than most women. I think all women, or most women, are that level of conscious of their physical
Yeah.
self. So I don't think
Yeah.
you're weird in that term. I think women have this as a problem in general. It's like a mental illness, I think, being this conscious of yourself and having it feel like your environment
Yeah.
is messy just because your nails aren't painted. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to feel that way, but we do. And there's things
Yeah.
about my own body where I feel that way, like immediately. So
Yeah.
it's not like just because it's not my nails doesn't mean there's not other things that also make me feel like I'm a mess. When no one else would
Yes.
ever think
Yeah.
that. No one else would ever notice.
Yeah.
No one looks at me.
Oh yeah, I know people don't care, and I
Yeah.
know it's normal because I see other people walking around and they're perfectly fine. Like I know it's socially acceptable. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have high expectations for yourself, and I think we could talk for 8 hours about why that is, but
Yeah.
I don't think you have to feel weird, but I do think you should give your nails a break from the gel if you're worried about contact dermatitis, because I worry about that too. Because if you think you're not
Just
put
like-
together now, just wait until you can't have a hip replacement or a tooth
Yeah,
implant.
exactly. I'm like I'm gonna need that hip replacement.
I just know it.
I know this.
Wow, those are some complex feelings.
After you do your nails, do you feel like a sense of relief or like a release of like a mental load. Be like, okay,
Yeah.
it's done. And now you just don't think about it anymore. You're like, oh,
Yes.
great. Now
Yes.
they look good. And you just move on with your life. Like,
For
that's
sure.
how it feels.
Yeah. Because in reality, I guess, if we're getting deeper about it, the act of me biting my nails isn't what bothers me. Like, I don't like when people see me bite my nails, but I don't, like, do it, like, in public. I'm not, like, gross and, like, licking my fingers when I'm out at the grocery store. That's horrifying. But, like, it's not the act of biting my nails that bothers me. It's how my hands look after. So, I guess, in a way, I have the same issue. It's that, and for me, it's that, like, it looks sloppy, and it makes me look like a little kid. And so, again, I guess I do have the same level of thinking about what I look like all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do absolutely feel a sense of relief once I've got my nails painted. Because I'm like, good, now I'm not going to bite them today. Good for me.
Yeah.
And then no one will notice that I'm a weird little nail-biting gremlin who hides under her desk and has been wearing the same sweatshirt for 2 days. It's complicated being a woman.
I'm just going to say, like, do you know, sometimes you can be too comfortable and then you kind of feel bad about yourself. You're like,
people are going to think I'm comfortable. Yeah. People are going to see me and know that I am not thinking about my body and that I didn't even try for them or that I'm not willing to feel a little pain.
I'm so ashamed.
Yes.
Of my comfort.
Yeah.
I feel that way even when I'm just by myself and no one sees me. That's kind
messed
of,
up.
I don't know. That is kind of sad, but I don't know. I feel that way. I don't want to be comfortable.
I'm too comfortable. I cannot be seen. I do understand that, but as someone who...
But, like, I can't be productive.
Because I just want to lay on the couch.
To you? Or is it just you?
No,
is it just me?
No, it's certainly not just you. No, I do agree. I have to be a certain level of, like, dressed, like, capital D dressed in order to sit down at my at-home desk where I'm not even on... I don't even have to be on webcam for most of my job.
Yeah.
Like, no one sees me, but I do have to have a certain, like, if I'm too comfy, I am not going to, like, put in my 100% best effort. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't think that's true. I'm actually much more focused if I'm comfortable and not thinking about my body and my clothes and adjusting.
Because, it's kind of like the thing where if you don't change out of your pajamas, like, even if your regular clothes are just loungewear, I think you just, I don't know, you need something different. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like that.
Yeah, I did a lot of reading about that, especially when COVID started and I was, like, doing my first work from home job. And I was like, okay, how do I separate my work day from my nighttime day? And I'm really bad about that. I've always, we've talked about this. I'm a teacher at heart. And teachers are trained that we never really leave the job. Even when we go home, we're always thinking about work or bringing home grading papers. So I just have the bad habit of just letting work bleed into life and vice versa. So I did do a lot of reading about, like, how to really separate when you're working at home, especially separating your work day from your living day, your actual personal time. And clothing was a big part of it. Like, change your clothes when you get up in the morning and sit down at your desk, and then change again when you get home. Just like I was when I was a teacher. I would get out of my gross, sneezed on kid clothes and put on clean, comfortable clothes. And, like, that helps. It really does make a difference, like, that mindset of getting out of your pajamas. But it's all mental, man. It's all up here. It doesn't actually change anything.
Am I sick? Like, do I need to be cured? Or am I okay? I can't tell.
I mean, we all probably need therapy. At least a little. I think that's a given. Whether it's, like, financially sustainable is a different question. Shoot,
I should explore that in a Dungeons and Dragons character.
That's a great idea. I think there's many things we could explore in Dungeons and Dragons that would help us. For today's episode, we have, like, a special little treat. This is the last episode of season 1 of Casting Friendship.
Yay!
Wow, we made it to this arbitrary stopping point that we made up ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't just choose this the week before. It was like, this will be our season finale.
But, like, you guys have all good things to look forward to. We're not done yet, so we're just going to take a short break. We're going to, like, rethink the format. We're going to become podcast. What did we say? We're going to level up. As in, you level up in Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to level up our podcast game. We're going to come back bigger and better than ever. We just need a little bit of time to become podcast level 3 paladins. But today, for our last episode of this season, we wanted to talk about like friendship, trauma bonding, just like kind of put a nice little end cap on our season, which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And getting ready for that, I was just like doing some random, Googling the way we do. And I found this book that I ordered already that I plan on reading. It's called The Psychology of Dungeons and Dragons. It's by the author Jamie Madigan. They wrote this, their first book was, or I don't know if it was their first book altogether, but the book before this one was called The Psychology of Board Games or Video Games. And I want to read that one too because I love video games. But I'm going to start with this D&D one. And it had like the table of contents on the website. And I was just like, ooh, I'm going to pull these questions because the table of contents is laid out like a bunch of questions. So I pulled them, me and Melanie looked at them, and we're just going to kind of like talk through them because they're really good questions. And I'm excited to read this book. So maybe in season 2, we'll talk about the book after me and Mel have both read it.
Maybe we can have like a book club podcast episode.
Yeah. Because this seems like it's going to be a cool book. So we're going to like, maybe this will be our preview of like what we expect from the book. But so, yeah, we kind of like picked some questions out of it. And one of my favorite questions from it, Melanie, when do you think players work together best? Like, what do you think it takes for a group at a D&D table to like really become a team and click and just have that moment of like finding each other's strengths and weaknesses and filling in those gaps?
Yeah, I think number one, which is always the hardest and the most boring, is just scheduling, is just trying to get together and meet consistently. But if you're able to get over this monumental hurdle,
huge hurdle, the actual big bad evil guy of real life is having time to meet with your friends.
Yeah, it's the calendar boss.
Yeah. Ugh, that's a level 80 boss.
Yeah, if you're able to by some miracle get past this, I think the way that people work together are similar in the way that D&D characters work together, which is just a balance, like you said, of like strengths and weaknesses. I think, where I'm strong, I want the other person to like balance that, right? Like where I'm weak, I want the other person to be strong. Us as a team, we make each other whole. And we're stronger together and have that, synergy that people talk about. I think also just having a shared goal of what you want from the session is really important. I think I like it when there's a little disagreement amongst the group. Like if people have like differing ideas, but have the same goal, right? Like differing opinions, it's always really rich to like argue about things. So it's kind of like when Bobby and Royal or like Dane get into those really nuanced discussions about Dungeons and Dragons, things that I do not understand. Yeah, my favorite thing in the world is to have extremely heated discussions about like frivolous things. That's like my that's my absolute favorite thing. Yep. Yeah. That's the best. And so in that same spirit, I think it's always fun when a group, it's so boring when everyone agrees, right? It's like fun when you yell at each other, but in a fun way.
Yeah. Truly, I totally agree. Like, it would be really, really lame. And like, I feel like it would be a sign of a bad DM if there was just one clear best way to get a job done and the group just did the thing. That's not how the world works. And when I look at a D&D table and I'm setting up a group to play D&D with, like I'm a DM a lot, so I've set up a lot of my own games where I'm just like, I want to run this campaign. I'm going to hand pick people that I think will work well together. And I do it just like I'm like hiring a staff basically. Like I'm like, just like you said, like I'm finding like strengths in one person and different strengths in another person and finding like sometimes I'm like, okay, here's 3 extroverts and here's 3 introverts who are going to be quiet but deadly.
Yeah.
And like, so I treat it like HR hiring, like how am I going to make the most effective team? And part of that is knowing that like people will see things differently and find different like ways to make their way through a map or, find the different paths so that there is that like heated debate of like, but this way is bad for this reason and this way is great for this reason, and have people like really get passionate about the best way to get something done, and then see them come together once the job is done and they've chosen a path and they've made it through that like argument. Ooh, that's so satisfying when they see that like they compromised and they made it work, and it went smoothly or it went really, really terribly. Either way, you get to see this group of people like psychologically work through figuring out who's going to be the best leader in which situation, because there's always it's someone different for every situation, I think, in real life and in Dungeons and Dragons. It's so fun.
Yeah. Okay, I do have a question, because you mentioned disagreeing about like how to tackle something. There is something that I tried to do on our stream, which is there's 6 of us, right? And we all have a different idea of like how we're going to do something. I'm sometimes afraid to get into the mix because like we're on stream. We can't entertain like 6 different approaches to this, right?
For a whole session.
We gotta like pick and choose pretty quickly because people don't want to watch us.
I feel like a keystone of a good group of workers and or Dungeons and Dragons players is someone just being able to make an executive decision based on very quickly acquired information. And I think you guys as a group are really good at that. But we are like a very different, like you said, like we're streaming, so it's a very different scenario than like one of my home games, for instance, where they really can and will spend 3 whole sessions just making the plan and debating the merits of the plan and what could possibly go wrong. But you guys don't have that luxury. So I feel like it's just as much a strength in your case to be able to say, I'm going to leave my voice out of this one and only step in if I feel very, very strongly one way or the other, or if I would have different information that would be useful. That's just as much a skill as being the person who steps up and makes the executive decision. You are making the executive decision to let it ride and just let someone pick something and go for it.
Yeah.
That's just as much a skill, and it's not an easy skill for people to do, to just like take a leap quickly without really thinking through every detail. That's kind of tricky and scary. Well,
that's because I trust you as a DM, and I think however it's going to go, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's usually the case. You guys are good players. I trust you guys as players. So most of the time, I know that you're not going to like go way off the rails, which I don't railroad, but I know that you guys aren't going to like derail the whole game plan for the whole party. So it works out because we all have this trust within each other, right? Like we all, and like you guys as players, the characters as made up people who you're all role playing, there's a level of trust that has been established. And, it does take trust to be able to just say, this person feels strongly that this is the right answer. I may not agree, but let's do it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You're really putting yourself in some precarious situations by doing so. And that's what makes the game fun. It wouldn't be fun if you guys made the right answer every time or made the right decision every time. A good DM knows how to make the bad decisions just as fun as the good decisions.
Yeah. I always say that you're really good at that.
Oh, thank you. Speaking of like making good decisions, like, do you feel heroic when you play Dungeons and Dragons? Do you feel that sense of like, I accomplished my goal. I am a hero right now. Do you ever get that feeling, that sense of accomplishment when you play?
I think I do get that. If you land a killing shot, I feel like that's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's always really fun when it happens, and I feel like that's really exciting.
Yeah, in what other scenarios might you feel like heroic in a session? Like I know like Bobby gets that feeling from like being the healer, being the person who takes care of people, like both physically and emotionally. Like that makes him feel like a hero.
I think that's true.
So it's definitely not just about like being super effective in combat, right? Like what do you think makes you Melanie, or even like your character Seraphina? What would make her feel like a hero?
For me as Melanie, I think because I have been trying to work on my role play, I think it makes me feel good when I feel like I'm making progress and trying to bring life into Seraphina. I think I've been trying to given her some sort of like presence in the session. I feel like I'm doing better than I started, so I feel like that's a win.
I think so too. Man, this last episode, I was losing it at the roleplay moments, like for everybody, but especially for Seraphina and Eidos. You should have felt
Marway.
Oh no, Marway and Bula too. They made me actually start to tear up. I
Oh
didn't
my
cry, but
gosh, yeah.
I was choked up a little bit from theirs.
That
But
was intense.
that was
Yeah.
intense. That was a lot. But at the same
Yeah.
time, that's what I expect from them, right? Like they've always been good at that.
Yeah.
And it's always good to see. It's always tasty and delicious. But
Oh my gosh.
that's been, I mean, I felt excited. I felt so excited for you and Ados having that moment. Because it's something you've both been working on and leading up to. And that was such a good, like, oh yeah, I'm not just seeing character growth in Serafina and Eidos, I'm seeing character growth in Melanie and John Paul. I felt like a hero in that moment. I was like, I'm bringing out the best in them and they're meeting their goals, baby. It did. You guys have had this goal to like bring out your characters more in roleplay, and that was a really cool, satisfying moment for that. And I don't think anybody who doesn't know that you guys have been working on that would really maybe feel the same way that you and I do. But it was a cool moment, and I got to see you guys like shine and take risks and like lean in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that John Paul initiated that moment, and I think he was the one who made Eidos like more emotionally vulnerable in the scene too. So I feel really grateful about that, because I think I did notice in that moment, as probably me as Melanie, I am someone who I strongly resist the urge to cry.
Me too.
I try to be emotionally authentic towards people, and I feel like I can talk about like vulnerable things in like a very matter-of-fact way.
You're just not a crier.
But I don't like to cry, and I will actively resist crying. Yeah, I rarely cry in front of other people. I gotta save that for myself alone when I'm very comfortable.
When you are too comfortable to do anything but cry. I get that. Okay. And I feel like I could see that in you and Seraphina in that moment. I could see your like resistance to the emotional moment. I could see you trying to like, have that wall up.
I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying you have to cry to have a good character moment, but I can see that in you, and I can see that in Seraphina, and it's like interesting to see you like kind of explore that in yourself via a character.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really, we've talked about this the whole time, like playing Dungeons and Dragons. When you play it with like heavy roleplay and heavy character moments, it is like it's kind of like a little psychological therapizing thing that happens. Like you are in some way or other playing out some fantasy or some need or some desire. And it's vulnerable and it's tough, and we've talked about it 1,000 times that's like maybe one of the toughest things to do in Dungeons and Dragons is do a roleplay heavy campaign and be that vulnerable and open to outcomes. That's a lot. It's hard. I struggle with it. I have a lot of trouble with it. I think part of why I like being a DM is I don't have to push myself that hard in that area.
Yeah.
I play a lot of NPCs who don't have those big moments. And as soon as they do, I can pull back a little bit more and just say things as a DM as opposed to as the character. So you guys are putting yourselves out there in a way that I'm not even doing, really.
I did notice you like nudged me a little to like make Seraphina cry. I was like, okay, Seraphina cry. But yeah, that was definitely a Melanie moment where like, I'm not gonna give into this hug.
She's not ready yet. That's okay. She's not ready yet. I'm fine with that. And, like, that's real, right? Like, people are like that. People will not have that emotional reaction that, like, a Morroway would have to things constantly crying. That's not everybody. Everybody's different. And I think it's very cool to see Seraphina be Seraphina and just stand on business and know what she's about and resist the urge to cry, because that's a woman. That's what women do sometimes. That's what people do sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do feel things very, very deeply.
Yeah, you don't have to try to feel things.
I don't like, maybe it's like the attention or just like people feeling sorry for me. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not quite as resistant to crying as you are, but I'm an angry crier. The only time I cannot control whether I cry or not is if I'm really, really, really mad. I cannot hold back the tears, and that makes me even angrier. because then I'm
Oh my
crying.
gosh, because you're
And I have
embarrassed.
to, and I have to explain, like, I'm not
Oh
crying because
God.
you made me cry. I'm crying angry tears. They're two different things. And
I've
I feel
never
like it looks
angry
like I'm like
cried.
seeking pity, or like you said, like that people will feel sorry for me. And I don't, when I'm
Yeah.
angry, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I want people to understand that I'm angry.
Wow, I don't think I've ever angry cried before.
It's like the one thing I cannot control. I cannot hold it back.
Wow.
I don't get that angry that often by any means, but
Yeah.
a few times with this recent election, maybe I have angry cried, I guess, a little bit more in the past 2 months, 3 months than I usually do. But it does take a lot for me to angry cry. But when I do, I cannot stop it. It's just the floodgates are open and I have to explain. I have to find a way to verbally explain. I'm not crying
Yeah.
because I'm sad. I'm not crying because I need you to feel sorry for me. I'm crying because I'm really mad. It's just
Yeah.
inevitable. Yeah, people crying doesn't equate like more or deeper feelings. Crying is like a physical reaction, and it's going to be different
Yeah.
depending on what's happening within your brain chemistry.
I don't know, maybe it's part of maybe it's hand in hand with like appearing very shiny, like my mom says. Maybe that's part of it is like
Being together.
yeah. I here's one thing about me. So like on stream, I feel like Bobby will sometimes mention how like reactive my face is. That's because like I allow that to happen, right?
You're leaning into it. You're exaggerating it.
Exactly. When we're playing, I will allow my face to react. Most of the time, like I have full control over my face. My poker face is always a smile. My poker demeanor is very, very friendly. So whether I hate you or like I'm very mad at you, you will never know. Like I don't lose my cool.
Yeah. I'm very jealous.
like I don't ever let my anger show.
Yeah.
The thing about crying is part of that is if I'm feeling extremely like emotionally affected, even if it's around like friends, I don't know, I feel like I gotta keep it together.
Keep it
like
together.
I need to. Yeah. I think I'm the kind of person that's just very aware of how I'm being perceived. And so I think I have a lot of control over my face.
I feel like what I've learned about you is you're very aware of your own impact on people. And how, like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like you know exactly how your expression can make someone else react differently. Like, you're always asking me, like, wait, back up, what made you say that? Or, like, here's what I think, but say what you said. Like, I feel like you're very, very aware of how people are behaving toward you and how you affect that behavior that they might be putting off. So I think that that's a skill I don't think I have. I don't think I ever really think about how I impact the people around me. And you seem like you're hyper aware of how just the littlest things, your facial expression, you crying in front of them, how it might change what they should be organically doing.
I think that's true. I think it might be part of the way that I even see myself. This is the weirdest thing I'm about to reveal to you. So when I think of myself, I am a we. Okay, I am not me. I am we. Okay, because there's a specific delineation between myself and my body. Okay, because I think you're right, because I see my body as a tool that I can utilize, right? Sometimes I'll describe it as I'm a soul trapped inside of a corpse. So I feel like I'm like a weird puppet that I'm like maneuvering, right? There's like this difference between myself and my body. So yeah, I think you're right. Like I use my body as a tool to like make people feel comfortable.
Like to change and impact the world and the people around you. Yeah. You are a little marionette, like knocking over things on the stage, knowing that you have an effect on everything around you. And like, you know that your body as a tool has very effective tool of like facial and body language and facial expressions and demeanor. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's a very fascinating way to think about yourself, as we don't think I've heard.
I know, because it sounds crazy. So like when I have to like
cool. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's different. Different's not crazy.
I know that's very odd because I don't think many people experience this, but like if I have to hype myself up, I'll be like, okay, we need to get it together. Like me and my body, let's coordinate. We gotta get it together. All right, team. Here's the hype chat.
I don't know if that's incredibly healthy or incredibly crazy. Maybe both. I think it's both. I think it's so healthy that it's insane. Or it's so insane that it's actually healthy. Because I don't think anybody has a healthy relationship with their mind and body connection. I feel like this might be the way. Have you ever thought about starting a cult? Do you want to start a cult with me? You could be our guru.
I don't think that's healthy
We
because
are
I
we.
think like I don't know, because when you like meditate, I think that's about like increasing like the mind and body connection. I feel like on the spectrum, I feel like I'm on like the far end of the spectrum where I'm very clearly removed.
Disconnected mind
Yeah.
and body. Two separate
Yeah.
entities.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I think, okay, I'm going to try and relate here or try and think. I've never thought this deeply about it. So I'm just going to think out loud about where I fall on that spectrum and how I
Yeah.
think about myself. I am an I. I am mostly a mind. My physical body feels very, like, kind of like you said about, like, it being a tool for you. My
Yeah.
physical body is very temporary for me, but also my mind is too. So I feel like
Oh my
I feel
gosh.
that connection. Like, I feel the
Yeah.
connection of once my body is done, my mind is also done. Therefore,
Yeah.
my mind and my body are connected. One
Yeah.
cannot exist without the other, really. I mean, I know my mind could exist without, not, I don't know. Yeah, so I think my own, like, sense of mortality, which we've talked about a bit, like our own fears of death
Mhm.
or experiences with death, have made me be able to connect my mind and my body pretty steadily. But it's to my own detriment, I think, because I put a lot of pressure on my physical body, maybe even more so than I
Mhm.
do on my mind in the way I think. Or I think a lot more about my physical body than I do about my mind, which I don't think is good for me because I should be optimizing how I think and the way I act and behave more than I think about what my physical body is able to do because it is just for physical things. It's not for anything important. Whereas I think my mind is for important things, for helping people and connecting and learning. And
Tell me more about your mind versus your body and like the importance. Like tell me more about that.
I put a lot more importance on the mind and like what I am cognitively and mentally and emotionally. I guess emotionally is a big thing with the mind for me. Those feel like the most
Mm-hmm.
important for not just myself, but for people. I wish more people cared more about what their mind is capable of and what it can do and what they can learn to do
Mm-hmm.
and the plasticity that
Mm-hmm.
exists there. I think that is like the closest thing
Yeah.
I have to religion is like the human capability of thought and growth and learning. That is
Oh, you're like an evangelist.
kind of yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, in a big
Okay,
way.
cool.
And so in that way, I know that the mind, I feel the mind and the soul, like your emotional connection with
Right.
people that you're capable of. Those are like really, really beautiful and almost sacred things to me. And yet I live in a world where I have to spend so much more time thinking about my body and how other people perceive my body. But I know that people also like people do perceive my mind or care more about my mind than my body. People are friends with me
Yeah.
based on who I am, what my thoughts are, what my emotional
Yeah.
capability is, not what I look like. But I still focus a lot on my body and my physical being in the world and even like things that my body sets up or creates, my home, my car, my job, things that my body is able to help me
Mm-hmm.
do. Those have a lot of weight as well, but it doesn't feel like they should. So I don't know. That's kind of where I find a disconnect. But I also have like some pretty bad body dysphoria where I don't even like really perceive what I look like accurately. I
Yeah.
think I have a pretty good perception of who I am mentally, and emotionally, but I don't have any kind of real perception of what I look like to people. It's constantly changing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I have that too. I definitely empathize. Like, do you think, like on the spectrum, if you feel like you're more entangled with your body, do you feel like the way that you view and feel about your body like affects your emotional state more because your body is you, so how you feel about it is you versus this like weird separation that I
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like I don't have a healthy perspective of my body the way I have a healthy perspective of my mind. Like,
Yeah, okay.
like
I see now.
I can work on, I feel like, okay, so I feel like it's easier for me to work on, oh, I was just really mean, or I just had a really bad impulse to do something nasty, or I just
Yeah.
felt ignorant because I didn't know this thing. I can learn. Whereas with my
Mhm.
body, it feels hopeless, and then I do feel bad about myself to the point of hopelessness.
Oh,
Like as if
okay.
it's outside of my control,
It's
whereas
like
my mind,
intrusive.
it feels
Yeah.
like my mind is more within my control, whereas my body is very much not.
I see.
Yeah,
Because
so
you're trying
maybe
to like
that's it.
tame it.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas with my mind, I'm trying to grow it and nurture it. But with my body, I'm
Yeah.
just fighting it constantly for no good reason. Or I'm not fighting it. And then I feel guilty for not fighting it. And then
Yeah.
it's a weird cycle. Cuz I go through I don't know. I just go through stages of whether I love or hate my body and what I think about it or how much I think about it. But I am always thinking about it and fighting it, not in the same kind of peaceful way that I am my mind and my emotions.
Do you feel like these changes, that these cycles, do you want it to be consistent? Like, do you want to be constant?
I what I want is for it to be less important to me. I don't really care if my body
Mm.
I don't care that my body does change. I shouldn't because it's not I really don't think what I my physical body is has any connection to like morality or usefulness or anything really.
Yeah.
Um I just wish I didn't think about it so much. I think I wish that I could
Yeah.
find peace with aging and find peace with I mean things like weight gain, body hair, like feminine beauty standards, clothing, um
Yeah. Yeah.
uh like physical pain that just comes with aging or being ill or frankly chronic like mental illness. Those things feel physical to me as
Yeah.
opposed like on the spectrum those things are medical in my head. So I think a lot about like my body chemistry and how the things I eat and how the medications I
Mm.
take and how like my environment impacts like my mental health and my body chemistry and my brain chemistry. And I wish I could spend less time like putting a lot of weight on that so that I can focus more on the mental stuff and become just
Yeah.
a
Like
better,
that
more cognitive
development.
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't need my body to stop changing. I need to be more at peace with anything, whether it be changing or stagnant or good or bad.
I need to ask you, did I ask you this yet? Have you seen The Substance?
I have not yet. I want to so bad. I'm afraid to watch it. I'm afraid it will fuck me up. Have you?
No, but I want to so badly. I feel
Let's
like it's
watch
gonna
it.
be so good.
I know.
I feel like we're really circling about this movie. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I will watch it. I will let you know as soon as I do watch it. Maybe we should have an online movie night where we watch it together. We get on Discord and watch
I
it
think that's gonna be
in
amazing.
tandem. I want to see it
Yeah.
so badly. I know it's gonna mess with my mind, and I've heard great things. So
I agree. I think it can go either way because I've heard people who think it makes you feel relief because you kind of like see how frivolous it is, but then other people are, it's like the opposite.
like traumatized by it.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is that we're all aging.
Hmm.
It is a fact. We are going to get old, and that's going to affect how we look, and not for the better.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this this is a fact.
yeah, yeah. And
And
that's
so
like,
it's like,
and that's without
are you
even
in
looking at
denial
like,
about that? Yeah.
yeah, and that's without even looking at like ableism or like cognitive
Yeah.
decline, the other physical things that come with
Yeah.
aging that are even scarier than just getting fat and ugly.
Yeah. Getting your hip replacement. That's why I can't do jobs anymore.
There are so many things outside of my control that I care so much about that I shouldn't. And I guess it's all just anxiety, but I wish I could just overcome it. I know I'm smart enough to do it. I just don't have the energy.
You can just be like me and exert maximum levels of control, and then you feel relief.
Anything to get that sweet, sweet serotonin, baby. Whatever works.
Control every inch of your body, and then it'll be fine.
Easy peasy.
You got it.
I wish I could. Like, I really would be the same as you and just like, I could. I have the time and the energy and the creativity to be able to do that for myself. I could I could have a perfect workout regime, a perfect diet plan. I could have the perfect schedule for when exactly I need to paint my nails, when I need to shave my legs. I could do all the things. But I am too much of a rebel bitch and a feminist, and I get really, really, really jealous of men. That's really just it. I just get really jealous of like my husband, who doesn't even spend a moment thinking about those things and looks at me like I'm silly for doing them. And I'm just like, if he can get away with not doing any of these things, so can I. So it's really just jealousy that prevents me from doing it. That is my sense of control, is taking back my time in ways that are not even, like, I kind of, that stuff's fun. Like, I like doing some of those activities. Like, shaving your legs is nice. It feels good and it's fun. It's satisfying. But I won't do it if my husband doesn't have to, because I'm I'm such a contrarian beyond my own, like, benefit.
Here's kind of how I feel about it. It's such a mixed feeling, because there's clearly a part of me that enjoys it, right? I've somehow like set up some sort of like reward system in my mind where like you do this and it's good.
Satisfying.
And it's so successful that I feel uncomfortable when I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's how ingrained it's been. At this point in time, I derive pleasure from it. But in a way, that's almost more sick, because I know that it didn't start out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I've only developed this over years and years and years, where it's almost disturbing. But now I've gone too far. I don't even know if I can undo this. And here's the thing is, I don't know if I even want to.
Yeah.
That's how far I've gone.
Who cares?
I'm lost.
If it makes you happy, then why put in work to reverse it? The bus is here.
I do recognize that the pleasure that I derive and the satisfaction and feeling happy that I'm doing it is conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, oh yeah, I just like it just because. No, that's not true. I like it because I was taught to like it, and now I do.
Yeah. But just because something was conditioned doesn't make it inherently bad. The systems, we can say the systems that conditioned you to do it are bad and did come from a bad place of controlling women. However, the individual person affected by it, it does not have to be bad for them if it's something that makes you happy. I feel like in your case, it sounds like it scratches the same part of your brain that like baking does. Like, you love step-by-step instructions that have the right outcome. Yeah. And that's what you love about baking, because it's very precise and measured, and you can do little creative tweaks. But in the end, you have a perfect end goal, a finished product. It can be perfect, and you have reached that with your body and your grooming. You have made your body.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you are baking your own body, and it has a perfect end goal, and you get that same serotonin boost when you hit that perfect end goal. Is that bad for you? I don't know. Probably not. You would just find that somewhere else if it wasn't for self-grooming. It's at a point it becomes just a hobby, and that's not a bad thing. Just because it comes from a bad system doesn't mean it's bad.
I think the way that I exhibit it is probably specific to me. Like you said, there's something about me that enjoys very meticulous.
Yeah, you like things that are repetitive, tedious, meticulous, detail specific. That's you, baby. Like, this makes sense to me that you're someone who likes these like very meticulous, self-grooming, repetitive, like never-ending processes. That totally makes sense. That's in line with who you are. And I genuinely think if it wasn't this, your body self-grooming, self-appearance, it would be something else. You would just have a different hobby to fill that void. Like baking or, I don't know, cross-stitching.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just because something was conditioned doesn't mean the way you use it is a bad thing.
I appreciate that.
I wish that we could all stop thinking about our bodies so much, but that's not the world we live in.
I will say that my ultimate wish is to be invisible and to not have a body. I would like to be released from my puppet.
Me too. Me too. Yes. You and your puppet, your Wii.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I feel like your next D&D character should explore that concept a little bit more. Your next character should be like a construct, like a robot with a sentient mind, like truly.
That would be extremely enjoyable. Yeah. Can I be a robot, or can I have no body? Can I be an unseen servant?
Okay. We should talk about that.
I feel like
that's a cool idea.
Unseen Servant, I feel like that's right up my alley.
Like, you can be, like, just in the void, hanging out, waiting to be summoned.
Yeah.
Pop in, unseen, no body, just mind. Just ability. Yeah. I love that. Let's talk about it. It's Dungeons and Dragons. Anything's possible.
Okay, so what would your character be then to address your body view?
Oh.
If mine is Unseen Servant.
I think I don't know. I said construct. I think if I was trying to address my body issues and my body mind connection, it would be like a construct. Like, I would want to be like sentient as like a sentient sort of Mive, or even like a hive mind kind of situation, a woken computer mind that has just like a functional, unchanging body, so that I could really explore like what it is to only grow here. Yeah, to only develop as a mind. That. Yeah, I think that is what I would want to explore in a D&D campaign. I think I'd want to be a construct. That. Yeah, I think maybe that's something I'll have to think about for another game if I ever get to play again. We got to play a one shot and I was a character.
Yes.
I should have thought more deeply. I could have been a cool construct. Oh man, then Robin and Dane's characters could have been obsessed with me if I was a construct. Maybe I'll ask the group, like, can I change?
With you.
They'd be constantly following me around.
That'd be so fun.
Maybe I should change.
And they could like upgrade you. They're like, all right, it's time to upgrade Kara's body.
Shoot. Okay, I might really text the group and be like, can I? I'm not so attached to the pirate girl. Can I switch? Oh, that could be fun. Okay.
Oh my
I'm going to seriously consider that.
Yeah. I like this. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining in our season finale. Yeah, I feel like it definitely went off the rails. But you know what?
Don't we always?
I feel like we delved really deep. And we figured out how we're going to process our deep body dysmorphia in Dungeons and Dragons. I say successful.
I think so too. Season 1, baby, it's in the bag.
So check us out on Knights of D20 Linktree. It's in the description, including Dion Rising, which airs live every Monday night, except not this upcoming Monday, which is February 3rd. That's going to be our one shot that we described, where Kara is not a robot, but maybe next one shot, she will be a robot.
Maybe we all will be by then in real life.
Oh, maybe we'll just be a pack of robots.
Oh, that'd be fun. Okay. I'm writing a whole new campaign. We're throwing Dion away.
We have the same maker. Oh. And what happens if some of us were like earlier versions and like later versions? Like some of us are more advanced than others, and some of us are just like clanking around.
Some of our hardware is like real worn out. There's just fans constantly whirring at top speed.
See that one. That's so sad.
Oh man. Okay. Next campaign. All robots all the time. Thanks, y'all, for sticking around.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.